So I don't know what happened, but we're going to get there. We're going to get these technical issues fixed. But we just want to let you know how much we appreciate you all that are looking, that are watching. We just want you to have a good relationship. We want you to have the best relationship that you can have. And just know that God is going to bless you richly. The last question, it says, what is an example of being an instrument of peace to your spouse? And for me, I think being an instrument of peace is really just being really what they need, knowing that that's something that they desire from you. Not saying that you some poster child for yes, 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 but I think that, being that instrument when it's time to listen, right. Being that instrument when it's time to comfort, because if they can't turn to you, then why, that's going to be a difficult thing. Your wife or your husband should be able to turn to you for what they need. So being an instrument of peace is also knowing how to calm people down when they're upset. Right. So for us, we have to get from being so caught up in the feeling aspect of it to, really we want to know what the root cause is. And so if we can just calm down, focus up, and if we just too adamant about it at that time, then we can definitely set a time later when we can go talk. But the issue will be addressed, because we don't want those things to be something that continues to manifest itself and pop up over time. We don't want that. So we're going to continue to push. So go on and look up Ephesians 5:28 and then 33. So that way they won't say that we didn't have a scripture in there. They didn't use the word. No, I'm just playing. All right. Yeah. I'm just playing. But we do use this. So Ephesians 5:28 and then verse number 33. Okay. Let's see. And we're going to figure out what's going on. We're going to get some better video equipment. Right. I don't know what's going on. We got to figure out how to. I know I'm not the best technical person in the world, and if you're watching from my job, you know good and well I don't do nothing with technology. Then my daughter's in there laughing at me. So, you gonna read that?
Ephesians 5:28 says, "In this same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself."
Okay, and then go to 33, and then I'll talk about that. However, each one of you also must love his wife, and However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So, for me, we respect each other, and we don't do those things that some people do where they try to, do the hurt for hurt thing. That is not going to build up anything. That hurt for hurt stuff is only going to cause you to be in a place of isolation. And because God don't operate like that, you're going to find yourself separated from him in his presence. And if you don't have God, who do you have? So for us,
you know what else I think about that too? If you're doing something that's outside of the will of God, and you're supposed to me, you disrespecting yourself. If you doing all of that, you outside the will of God. Mm-hmm. You not only disrespecting your wife, but you disrespecting yourself. Mm-hmm. Because the Bible tells us that when we get married, we're not our own. Mm-hmm. We don't belong to ourselves anymore. All that's off the table. So if you don't want to belong to somebody else, don't get married. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. If you don't want to belong to somebody else, if you don't want to be accountable to somebody else, don't do it. Marriage comes with a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm.
It comes with a lot of responsibility, and when it says, "And the two shall become one flesh," that means that it's a lot that you got to take in. That's spiritual. As for God's word, it's a journey that never ends until death. When you say, "And the two shall become one," You are constantly working on being that instrument that we talked about that's tuned at the right key. Because you'll find sometimes that you are in your marriage where there is no harmonic sound or unison. And not only do you know it's an issue, the other people can tell too when you're not tuned at the right
People
right sound.
See that. I don't
and
care.
It's okay. I mean,
how you try, but I don't care how you try to cover it up. You know, and we teach that in class. What goes on in the house, that should be portrayed outside of the house in your marriage. Not it's at home one way, and then you put on your mask or your performance clothes when you walk out the door. It should always be the same thing, no matter what.
So that means when we married, she married with me at church. Everybody know, yeah. So,
but I think too, sometimes people forget that marriage is actually a covenant.
Yes,
that's a contract.
And it's work, and that contract means that it comes with. It don't come with a clause. You mean you got to fulfill your part of the job. You got to fulfill your end. And you also have to be open-minded to know that if you love this person as Christ loved the church as you're supposed to, then you know that there are going to be some flaws or some things that, because we are human, we're going to make some mistakes. The main thing is if we are in good communication with God, and if we're in good communication with each other, then again, I go back to that same conversation about if you see something in your spouse that's not lining up with the word, and you've already brought it to their attention, you did communicate that with them, then there's no longer need to continue to say that to that person. It is for you to go before God in prayer and speak that word of encouragement over your spouse. Well, it didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen for you yesterday either, and you're still cutting up. So you looking at what they need to become when you need to become something too. So it's two ways to spin the thread, and so you have to be, like Millicent said, you need to be accountable for your actions, but at the same time, just know why you looking at things that you want to develop or work in your spouse, that it's something that you definitely, bless you, baby, you know that it's something that you need to work on too. So if it's something that you need to work on, you can go before God and say, Lord, this is going to be a tough one. This has been a wall that's been sitting for years. It's got much support. This wall has been fortified with extra steel and rebar, and it's going to take a little bit to knock this thing down. But Lord, I am going to give it to you so that you can begin to knock down the walls that I have created that have caused me not to have effective communication with you and not have effective communication with my spouse and the one I love. And when you do that, then you open up some serious doors of just you and God to be able to communicate and talk about what's on your heart. And then your spouse will notice the change, and they will begin to see those prayers that your wife or you have for each other start to manifest themselves. What I like about Millicent is that she has this prayer box, and she has created a conversation with God where it's not about when the prayers, it's not a timeline on when the prayers are answered, but what she does is once the prayers are answered, she just put down the date, not because she got God on a timetable, just to continue to remind herself how to be humble and say, Lord, I know it took some time to get to this point, but I'm there, or if it's not for her and it's for somebody else, or even if it's for me, we are there now. Right. So what's our next step? Because then you've overcome and knocked down the wall. Now it's time to be elevated and go up. And with that elevation is going to come a test to see if you're able to overcome that, because you can recognize these things from the enemy. They won't harm you. Right. Now that you're at another level, now that your airplane is at at 30,000 feet and you at that cruising altitude where it's supposed to be peaceful with no turbulence, that may be okay for a while.
Right.
But you're gonna hit some pockets of air, and it's gonna shake your plane. And so, if that happens, how and where do you go? Do you begin to point the finger at her and say, this is the reason why we're in this mess, or do you go before God and say, Lord, look, whatever this is, and for whatever reason that we're going through it, we're gonna go through it together. If she's upset with me, if she's mad with me or whatever, I can deal with that. But I want my communication with you, Lord, to be open. And I want to be able to hear from you so that I won't do something or say something to cause myself to be separated from your presence. And also that we practice what we preach as far as I'm trying to get my thoughts together. The safe space for us to be able to have these kind of conversations that sometimes can be difficult. But when you love each other, you're going to have those conversations and you're going to get through them, and you're going to continue to build a level and a layer of respect and trust that just people can't tear it down. And the enemy, as much as he wants to gnaw at that, he won't be able to do it either. So,
but one thing too, if you can't walk in humility with God and be humble with Him, you sure can't have it with your spouse.
It won't work.
It's not gonna happen, because we don't want to walk around with a spirit of arrogance, with a spirit of expectation that even though I do wrong or I can do whatever, and I'll just go to God and He'll forgive me for it. And that may be true. We serve a forgiving God. But what about that spouse that got caught up in all of that received the repercussions of your actions?
It's going to be hard for them to trust you. And so in there goes another wall. You knock down one wall and you got to be able to knock down another one. But see, when you're doing it on your own, it becomes very tiresome.
Right.
And at some point, because you are the two that become one flesh, then you should be working to knock down the walls together. And so that's what you want to build to with the communication being good, being effective, being wholesome, being that which build up and not tear down. The communication that brings about love, even though there's some conversations that can really, stress you out a little bit. But the thing is, as we focus on effectively talking to each other, as we focus on giving ourselves an opportunity and a safe place to be able to say whatever it is on our mind and our heart, then do that. But I would caution you and say, when these times come and you have created space for you to talk, you need to pray for the atmosphere before you talk. You need to agree with your wife and your husband that, look, we're getting ready to go into a conversation that we know can be kind of tumultuous, if that's a word. But what the thing is,
Full of turmoil.
she's in there laughing at me because she's laughing at me because I'm trying to pronounce this word. You didn't even try to help me. You could have said that is tumultuous, whatever it is. But the thing is, I think that if you do that, then God sees, He sees that you are really focused, number one, on Him. And as a reflection of love between the two that have, between the reflection of the two that have made a heart contract to love each other as one, you can really begin to deal with some issues, grow the marriage. That will also cause you to plant seeds for your kids.
Right.
They have to see that even though you are not human and that you may say and do some stupid stuff, that you're able to go before God, that your children are able to see that, yeah, I know something going on with my parents, but they're working it out. That's going to be very important on who they choose as a mate.
Right.
Because they see that you are doing it in the right way. And so I know we've went over because of our internet issue, but I will say this. I really want you all to go back and I want you to pray about the upbringing of your spouse. It's very important that you understand where they came from. Yes, they are married to you, but they came from a home, and in that home, love was shown and displayed in various ways. And that may not line up with what you have encountered in your life. So if you don't do that, you really wasting time, because you have to understand where somebody came from in order to understand why they may not do certain things with you in the marriage, why they may not communicate effectively, why they may not touch you or hug you. And you're a hugger and you want to be healed. So if you notice that, and I'm talking to those that are single, if you notice that when you go visit your boyfriend or your girlfriend's house, that they on their cell phone, they never eat dinner together, you don't see anybody hold, touch, or anything, then you need to understand that that's definitely going to happen to you, because that's what they've been brought up into. And that's not to say that you don't have to be with them, but it is smart enough for you to make a doggone decision to have a conversation about some things that you notice at your boyfriend or your girlfriend's house that they don't see. Now, what I can say is that, our kids got various friends that come over here, so they're going to see us be us. We ain't changing nothing. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we are planting those seeds that are going to grow through our kids, so that way when they choose their mate for the rest of their life, that's the one. That's the one. They know it because of because of the relationship that we have, but more so because of God and them having bad witnessing with the word. So I think that's very important. Please pay attention to how they interact with their family when they go visit their parents. If you are single, you need to do that. Nobody said, you got to write down a bunch of faults and say you're going to correct them. You just need to understand what you're getting into. Because if you think there's going to be different, it's not. How you going to take something that somebody done lived the whole lifestyle seeing and you're going to change it in one day? It's not going to happen. So you need to say, okay, am I ready? Am I up for this? And you need to ask them and be honest. Are you up for this with me? And if the answer is no, don't waste your time trying to commit to this here. Don't waste your time.
And I think that's what a lot of people going with these preconceived ideas. Like they see the stuff before they get married, but then they feel like they've made their commitment to get married. Until the preacher say I do, you got time. So I would rather make a decision based on truth and facts that I've seen and get out of something, instead of just trying to save my pride. Go ahead with it and then have a lifetime of hell, because that's what it's going to be, unless both are committed to get it right.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to do. We want to seek God first, go before Him, make sure that's the right one. We work on the things that we need to work on as a couple together before marriage. We strongly say that you need to have marriage counseling. Please.
Yeah.
Please, before you get married, have marriage counseling.
Do it. Because you don't have no idea what you're getting into.
Not just a couple weeks. Not just a couple months. Have marriage counseling for a year. Go to marriage counseling. Because they bring out some stuff that you never thought about.
I don't see anything on the screen. Nobody want to hear that.
We did it. We went to marriage counseling for a whole year.
We got counseled by a strong family that had to deal with 4, 5? How many kids? 5? 4.
They have 4.
4. So
3 girls and a boy.
And so the thing was, trying to balance all that, love each other, and deal with life. They basically asked us, hey man, y'all ready for this? Because this is, we got this, but y'all ain't even started. And so for those that are watching that have nieces and nephews, sons and daughters, and they are thinking about taking this next level step, have that conversation with them. It ain't just about love. You gotta have some compatibility. You gotta be able to forgive. If you visit somebody and y'all dating, and the parents have had an issue, and every time you go over there, they still talking about that issue, you're going to be talking about that issue. Because that means they ain't going to forgive, and we already talked about not being able to forgive. So we just going to wrap this up for today because we can go on and on and on. But the thing is, we really, I'm telling you, if you are considering marriage, you really better go get some counseling from somebody,
Somebody that's got a strong marriage foundation. Somebody that's in the Word.
Somebody that's in the Word that's willing to tell you the truth.
Yes.
Not what you want to hear. You need to know the truth about all of this and what it's going to take in order to not just make it. I don't want no marriage just to make it. If I just wanted to make it, I'd give me a job and say, you know what, I just want to make it till Friday. I don't want that. I want a marriage where I know we can build a life together. It's going to be something that through highs, lows, thick, thins, victories and defeats, I know that she got my back. If my face fall on the ground and break into a bunch of pieces, she going to pick all them pieces up and she going to help me get to where I need to be. And if you're not that kind of person out there, then, I ain't trying to compare you to my wife, but I got her first. So I don't have to worry about nobody else. But my thing is, if you do that, she's still in there laughing at us. She's like, girl, you laughing at us.
No,
yes, you are.
So the thing is, if you find that, evaluate your marriage. If you find out that your marriage is just surviving and it's not thriving, it's a problem.
And just ask yourself, you don't have to, at that point, I would just really say, what is the thing that if it was changed, my marriage would go from here to here? Because we're not talking about surface level answers, right? We're talking about something that's, if we can get down to the root cause. Yeah, we can get down to the root cause. If it's cancer, they don't want to just deal with treating something on the surface level. They want to get all the way to the bloodstream and say, if we treat this in the blood, this will never happen to this person again. So same thing with their marriage. You really want to ask yourself, even when you get ready to talk to your spouse about whatever it is that's, kind of bothering you, is what is the root cause? And if you can get down to the root cause of whatever that is, and if that's fixed, it can take your marriage from here to here, then that's what you want to address. And then the other stuff will kind of line up, but you'll be able to face it. I think we're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to go. We're going to go. That tree's so pretty. That tree is so pretty. We was up last night putting the tree up, and it really looks good.
That's one reason we were late this morning.
Because we
trying to get extra 5 minutes of sleep.
Yeah, I did tell us to stop.
But we're gonna go, and we will talk to you next Saturday, hopefully for 8 o'clock.
And let's see, hold up.
And we're gonna discuss.
Which one is that? No, hold on.
If communication breaks down, number 4.
That'd be 4. I was trying to see. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll be. Oh, that's not it. But we'll make sure that we'll be ready for that. For number 4. What's that? What is?
Yep,
No, that's
okay.
not it.
Well, anyway, we'll be on if communication breaks down, number 4, and we will see you next Saturday to discuss more marriage matters. Because your marriage matters.
Have a great Saturday. Enjoy your family. Love each other. Bye.
Bye.